Hey, it's Tay, and today I'm here to talk about a more serious topic, whether or not we should continue to use the term Asperger's. I'm a big SNL fan, and I was watching last weekend when Elon Musk was the host. I was very curious to see how that would go. In the monologue, if you watched it, you know that he mentioned he was the first host to admit that he has Asperger's. That's not quite true. Dan Aykroyd actually had Asperger's or autism spectrum disorder. And Jerry Seinfeld has also hosted, and he has more of a self diagnosis, but he has mentioned in the past that he does believe that he is on the spectrum somewhere. So that claim was a little bit misleading, but soon Twitter started blowing up about the term Asperger's and how we can't use that anymore. And I honestly was a little surprised because I did not know the implications behind the term Asperger's. The original title that I had for my channel was The Atypical Aspie, and Aspie is a shortened version of Asperger's. And so I was using that on my channel for the first couple of weeks while I was making videos. And after I saw that it was pretty controversial after this episode of SNL, I started doing the research for myself about where the term Asperger's comes from, and it's deeply upsetting and troubling. I know people on the autism spectrum, like myself, tend to be a little bit more sensitive to tough topics, but I want to give everybody a trigger warning that what I'm going to talk about today involves violence. It involves Nazi Germany and child violence in particular. If you're not in a headspace to hear about the information today, this video will be here for you later when you have a better frame of mind to hear this information. So please don't force yourself to watch anything that does not feel comfortable to you right now. I'll do my best to speak about this respectfully and not to use any more descriptive language than needs to be used in order to communicate the message behind what I'm trying to say. I also want to apologize for using the term Aspie, and in one of my videos I mentioned a book title with the name Asperger's in it, which I don't feel was intended in a harmful way at all. But now that I know what the term stands for, I'd like to apologize for using it without clarifying that a better term is now autism spectrum disorder. Kind of the approach I want to take here is that I didn't know, I was uninformed. I didn't do the research, I didn't do the work myself, and so now that I know better, I want to do better. At this moment in time, I'm choosing to keep my previous videos up on the channel. And if you personally feel like that's upsetting to you, I'd like to hear from you. I'm learning and I'm open to hearing how it affects people. I do want to say that I'm informing myself, I'm learning more, and I'm trying to be more open about what I'm learning and communicate that so that together we can kind of work towards a safer environment to talk about mental health issues and just a safer environment to be a human being in general, because I think we all need that. So with that said, the information that I'm sharing today is coming from a woman named Edith Sheffer. She spent 7 years researching Dr. Hans Asperger, who was a pediatrician in Nazi Vienna. I got this information from 2 different articles, one from the New York Times and one from NPR, and I will share those links in the description below. Again, trigger warning, there is very sensitive content in both articles. Dr. Hans Asperger, his research contributed to some of the understanding that we have today of autism spectrum disorder because some of his work was used to help classify children who were social enigmas. In 2013, the term Asperger's was removed from the DSM, which is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. Overall, clinicians agreed that a separate term wasn't necessary in order to understand autism spectrum disorder, and they just lumped it all into ASD, autism spectrum disorder, and removed the term Asperger's. The term Asperger's is still used today in the World Health Organization's International Classification of Diseases, so the term isn't completely eradicated from medical use today. It's actually quite common to still hear the term Asperger's because it became part of the language. And as you might imagine, it will take a while for it to weed its way out of the language. So that's part of why I'm making this video. We have to raise an understanding of where this term came from. Dr. Asperger moved from Vienna to Germany in 1934. His colleagues there were developing diagnoses for children who were socially abnormal, and in particular for children who weren't joining in Reich activities, like a program called Hitler's Youth. And so these children that weren't joining in, scientists and pediatricians were studying them to determine what was different about them and why they weren't participating in these activities that they wanted them to participate in. Not long after, Dr. Asperger introduced his own term to be used as a diagnosis, autistic psychopaths, and he used this term for children who he described had sadistic tendencies. He credited them with acts of malice. This is a quote. He said that the less favorable cases were grotesque and dilapidated. Dr. Asperger worked with top figures in Germany's euthanasia program, where children were killed in order to be kept out of the gene pool. Dr. Asperger recommended, this is really hard to talk about, you guys, he recommended dozens of children to the euthanasia program in Vienna. All in all, in the euthanasia programs, about 5,000 children were murdered. Dr. Asperger was responsible personally for dozens of those. It's really hard to talk about this, but I think it's important to know how horrible this is, because we have to do away with this term. We have to stop giving someone credit for research that led to children being murdered. Years later, a British psychiatrist named Lorna Wing came across one of Dr. Asperger's articles from 1944 about autistic psychopathy and felt that the terminology discussed in that article was worthy of being included as diagnostic criteria. And by the early 1980s, the term Asperger syndrome was being used in medical professions to help describe social awkwardness and other social shortcomings. In 1994, the term was added to the American Manual of Mental Disorders, and it was finally reclassified in 2013 as autism spectrum disorder. Ms. Sheffer's final argument in these articles that now, in today's world, we're starting to reclassify things that were named after problematic figures. And I think it hasn't hit this close to home until I studied this term. And I do feel that using it is very upsetting. I know for me, correcting other people is really hard. I'm thinking about, if Asperger's comes up in a conversation, I just want to encourage you to just find it within yourself to just gently and kindly say, hey, actually, you know what, from what I've learned about that term, it's more appropriate to use the term autism, because I feel like now that we have this information, it's our responsibility to make sure that we communicate it. I don't necessarily feel like it's our responsibility to communicate the horror behind the word unless someone is truly interested and we maybe give them a little bit of a warning before we share that information. But I think at the very least we can say, hey, there's a better and more appropriate way to do that. I think that's one of the most important ways that we can make a difference in reclassifying that term. Thank you for watching this video. I know it was uncomfortable to sit through and hear. I think your willingness to learn about this shows that you can be an advocate for change, and I just appreciate you taking the time to inform yourself. And I ask that you will check out the articles that I post in the description and do your own research. Don't just take it from me, so that you have your own words to advocate for this whenever the opportunity comes up. I'm happy to help answer any questions you might have. If you want to drop a question in the comments below, I'd like to suggest that maybe after this video, you take the proper time for yourself to decompress, switch to something lighter. I know that on the autism spectrum, we can kind of get stuck in sensitive information. I want to give you permission to break free from the subject matter that we've been learning about here together. Focus your sights on something more uplifting, because there's plenty to be grateful for. Go outside, get some fresh air. Make sure that you're taking plenty of time to rest. So important for us on the spectrum. And I hope after the video today you feel a little bit more informed, and together we can start making a positive change for our community. Thank you so much, and I will see you guys in the next video.